All right, so welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be tackling a pretty big topic, alien invasion. We've got a collection of articles here, and they go way beyond like those typical Hollywood cliches. It's more about the real complexities, like how humanity would actually respond to first contact, politically, socially,
hmm
technologically, even philosophically.
Yeah, and trust me, these sources, they don't sugarcoat anything. We're diving into some serious stuff here. Global power struggles, total societal meltdowns, the scramble to figure out alien tech that could be, like, centuries ahead of us.
Okay, well then let's jump right in. The first question everyone always asks is, would we all band together or like completely fall apart if aliens actually showed up?
Right, it's like the classic debate.
Yeah.
And these articles, well, they paint a pretty complicated picture, to be honest. Like, on one side, you see how we've cooperated before during global crises, the UN after World War II, or even working together to fight pandemics.
Yeah, definitely some moments where humanity kind of pulled it together, at least for a while. But the articles also make this point, like survival, our own survival, it usually wins out over unity, especially when you're dealing with something completely unknown.
Exactly. And you throw in the whole alien motives thing, motives we can't even begin to grasp,
Yeah.
right? Then the potential for us to just divide, it gets even stronger.
Mm.
Just imagine some countries, some nations getting offered crazy advanced technology or even like special treatment by the invaders,
Yeah.
while everyone else is left to just fend for themselves.
Yikes. It'd be like some kind of cosmic game of Risk with whole countries as bargaining chips. Not a great recipe for global unity.
Oh, and one of the articles uses this analogy. It's like a cosmic gold rush, right? Everyone scrambling to get their piece of the alien pie. Makes you wonder, can we actually override that, the inherent self-interest, especially when the stakes are this high?
And then there's the social upheaval. Like, can you picture what would happen the second aliens actually showed up?
Oh, the sources, they paint a vivid picture, actually a terrifying picture, to be honest, of the immediate chaos. I'm talking widespread panic, misinformation going viral on social media, mass migrations, maybe even total societal collapse.
So not exactly a walk in the park, but even with all that, all the doom and gloom, some of the articles, they also talk about how resilient humans can be.
Oh, that's a really important point. I mean, history is full of examples where communities have banded together when things got rough. You see individuals rising up, leading, innovating, and you even see these bursts of creativity and culture coming out of the ashes of disasters.
It's like even when we're totally afraid, we also have this potential for amazing courage and adapting to the situation.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, like, how would different cultural and religious groups interpret the arrival of aliens? Could this like totally reshape how we see our place in the universe? It's pretty fascinating to think about the bigger philosophical stuff alongside the immediate dangers.
For sure. Okay, let's switch gears a bit. So while all this social and political drama is going down, imagine the pressure on the scientists, right?
Oh, BB, all hands on deck, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
every scientist on Earth mobilized. The articles I read, they emphasize this massive challenge, right? Decoding alien biology, figuring out their motives,
Yeah.
and especially understanding their technology.
I can only imagine trying to decipher their languages or how they even communicate. What if they think in ways that are completely different from us?
Oh, there's this one study, and it explores the potential for us to completely misunderstand each other because we might perceive reality differently. What if they experience time in a nonlinear way, or their senses? What if they work on different frequencies than ours?
Whoa, that's crazy to think about. Really puts things in perspective, like how limited our own human view is.
For sure, and it makes trying to understand their technology even harder. We could be talking about technology that's centuries, millennia, even ahead of what we have.
Which leads to the next question. How do we fight back against something that advanced?
Yeah, and it's definitely not just about brute force. The articles explore all sorts of possibilities, from high-tech weapons to more unconventional tactics. Like, one really interesting argument is that our best bet might be asymmetric warfare, using Earth's environment to our advantage, and our understanding of guerrilla tactics.
So less about matching firepower and more about being clever, outsmarting them.
Right. Think about it. Small, super agile human forces using their knowledge of the terrain, launching surprise attacks on vulnerable alien outposts.
Okay, now I'm picturing this movie in my head, total David versus Goliath situation, but like cosmic scale.
Haha, yeah. And don't forget about space. Several of the articles talk about how important space-based defense systems would be, maybe even launching counterattacks from orbit.
Wow. Real life Star Wars. But before we go too far into the whole tactical side of things, let's step back for a second and talk about global governance. Would an alien invasion finally unite us under one government? Or would it just make all the nationalism and isolationism even worse?
Yeah, that question, it really gets to the core of what it means to be human, you know?
It does. I mean, part of me thinks we'd all come together, this feeling of we're all in this together, but then there's that other side, that darker possibility, countries hoarding resources, fighting over alien tech, even cutting deals with the invaders to save themselves.
One of the articles, it frames it as a tragedy of the commons situation.
Yeah.
Like everyone acting in their own self-interest could actually screw things up for everybody.
So the question is, can humanity get over that ingrained self-interest and work together? Like actually work together for the survival of everyone?
That's the challenge, isn't it? And
Yeah.
and to be honest, the articles don't give us a clear answer. It's almost like they're leaving it up to us, the listeners, to think about the possibilities and maybe even imagine what we would do ourselves in that situation.
Yeah, definitely a lot to think about. But here's a thought. What if the aliens aren't here to conquer us at all? What if they're here to coexist?
Whoa, that changes things.
Mm-hmm.
It shifts the whole conversation from pure survival to like interspecies relations.
Right. It's not all about fighting. We have to consider diplomacy, cultural exchange, maybe even forming some kind of symbiotic relationship.
The implications for how we understand ourselves, our culture, our place in the universe, it's almost too much to wrap your head around.
It's like opening a door to a whole new dimension of possibilities.
Yeah.
And it makes you ask, are we even ready for that kind of encounter?
That's a question we'll definitely get into later. But for now, I think it's important to acknowledge that coexistence, as challenging as it would be, it does offer some hope in all this.
Yeah.
Amidst all the chaos of a potential invasion.
Hope and a whole lot of mind-blowing stuff to explore. But before we get lost in the cosmic what ifs, let's ground ourselves for a second. Now, a full-scale alien invasion, it might seem like a movie plot to most people.
But it never hurts to be prepared, right? And actually, the sources do have some surprisingly practical survival tips, things that could be useful in any kind of crisis, not just an alien invasion.
Oh, that's great. So what are some of the key takeaways, stuff we can actually use?
Well, the articles, they stress emergency preparedness, having a kit ready, knowing evacuation routes, basic first aid, survival skills.
Yeah, those are good things to know regardless, whether aliens show up or not. Those skills could be helpful in all sorts of situations.
Exactly. And they also talk about the importance of community preparedness, like building local networks, sharing resources, and coming up with plans for communication and support. These are all things we can do right now to be more resilient, no matter what kind of crisis we face.
So even if ET never phones home, thinking about an alien invasion can help us prepare for more down-to-earth problems.
Yeah, it's a really interesting exercise for sure. And it reminds us that being prepared isn't just about, hoarding supplies. It's also about fostering that sense of community, building those connections that can help us get through anything, a natural disaster or something a little more out of this world.
That's a great point to end on for now, but stick around because we're just getting started on this deep dive into the mysteries and complexities of an alien invasion.
It's wild to think about all the ways our world could be turned upside down,
It really is. and we've already talked about a lot, global politics, social dynamics, but let's get even more specific. What would life actually be like during an alien invasion, like day to day?
Well, the articles, they don't paint a pretty picture when it comes to disruption.
Huh.
Think about the impact on infrastructure, especially in cities, transportation, communication systems, essential services like hospitals and power grids, all potentially thrown into chaos.
It'd be like hitting the reset button on civilization as we know it.
In a way, yeah. And for those who survived that initial invasion, the articles talk about this constant struggle for resources, learning to adapt to new threats, maybe even learning to interact with alien tech that interfaces with our biology.
Okay, that's when it starts to sound like a sci-fi movie, right?
That's-
But it also it also shows how adaptable humans are. I mean, throughout history, we've found ways to survive, even thrive in some crazy situations.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just physical survival either. The sources also talk about the potential for huge cultural shifts, how we understand religion,
Mm.
philosophy, art. All of that would be challenged, reshaped by the arrival of aliens.
Oh man, I can imagine the debates in theology schools and philosophy departments. And what about the art that would come out of it? The music, the literature, all inspired by this contact with something truly, truly alien.
Yeah, it'd be like a forced evolutionary leap for human consciousness. And that brings up another interesting point. What would happen to our economic systems? Would they just totally collapse?
Right.
Or would they transform into something completely new?
That's a big one. I mean, if aliens control key resources, right? Or if they introduce technology that makes our industries like obsolete, well, the global economy as we know it could be wiped out.
Yeah, that's a real concern. And some sources even suggest that having access to alien tech could create these massive wealth gaps, leading to even more inequality and social stratification.
So instead of closing the digital divide, we end up with a cosmic divide.
It's definitely possible, but there's also the potential for incredible growth and advancement. Imagine breakthroughs in medicine,
Wow.
energy production,
Yep.
transportation, maybe even solutions to some of our environmental problems.
Like this technological lottery, huge risks, but also unimaginable rewards. But let's shift our focus to the scientific opportunities for a minute. What could we learn from studying alien life, their tech, their understanding of the universe?
Oh, that's where things get really exciting. The articles, they're practically buzzing with enthusiasm about the scientific discoveries that could be made. Just confirming that we're not alone in the universe. I mean, that would be a paradigm shift unlike anything we've ever seen.
Yeah, it'd be like the Copernican revolution all over again, totally changing how we see humanity's place in the cosmos.
Exactly. And then there's the potential for medical breakthroughs, right? Studying their biology, how they've adapted to different environments, their immune systems.
What if they have cures for diseases that we've been struggling with, or technologies that could extend our lifespans or enhance our abilities?
The possibilities are truly mind-blowing. And then, of
Mm.
course, they're studying their technology. Imagine unlocking the secrets of faster than light travel, harnessing new forms of energy, even manipulating space and time.
Okay, now we're in Star Trek territory.
Yeah.
But seriously, the potential for scientific advancement is just it's enormous, and it's not just about practical applications, right? It's just encountering a truly alien intelligence that would force us to rethink how we define intelligence, consciousness, even the nature of reality itself.
It's the ultimate intellectual challenge,
Yeah.
pushing the boundaries of what we know, what we understand. But we also have to remember that this encounter could be far from peaceful.
Right, right. We can't ignore the possibility of conflict. So let's talk about defense strategies. How could we even begin to level the playing field against a more advanced alien force?
Well, the articles, they present a lot of different ideas, developing advanced weapons, using unconventional tactics. One thing that really stands out is the emphasis on combining technological innovation with human ingenuity and our ability to adapt.
So not just bigger guns, but smarter strategies.
Exactly. Think about using Earth's terrain to our advantage, right? Using guerrilla tactics to disrupt their supply lines, developing cyber warfare capabilities to target their systems.
It sounds like we'd have to get really creative really quickly.
Absolutely. And then some articles even explore the possibility of reverse engineering alien technology, using their own advancements against them.
Yeah, that would be a game changer. But let's shift gears for a second. We've been focused on the potential for conflict, but it's important to remember that the outcome of an alien invasion, it's not predetermined.
That's a really important point. We can't let fear and speculation overshadow the possibility of peaceful coexistence.
What if they're not here to conquer at all? What if they're here to learn, to share knowledge, maybe even to help us solve some of the problems we're facing?
That's a very different scenario. It requires a totally different approach.
Right.
Instead of meeting them with hostility, we need to engage with curiosity, with diplomacy, and a willingness to learn from their advanced knowledge.
It's a huge mindset shift,
Yeah.
but it could lead to a much more positive outcome. Imagine the collaboration, the cultural exchange, the scientific advancements. If we could just establish a peaceful relationship with an alien civilization.
It's a really tantalizing thought. And some of the articles, they even explore the potential for symbiotic relationships
Yeah.
where both species benefit from the exchange of knowledge, resources, even biological adaptation.
That's next level thinking. But even in a peaceful scenario, there are going to be challenges, right? Just imagine the communication barriers, the potential for misunderstandings, the cultural clashes that could happen.
Yeah, it'd be like navigating a cosmic minefield.
Yeah.
Every interaction could be misinterpreted, could lead to conflict.
We'd need to develop like whole new protocols for diplomacy and conflict resolution. Protocols that take into account the huge cultural and technological differences between us.
And that brings us back to the question of global governance. How would we manage these interactions with an alien species? Would we speak as one, or would national interests and rivalries get in the way?
It's a question that would really, really push the limits of our current systems of global governance. Would we finally see a unified world government, or would the arrival of aliens just break the world order apart even more?
One of the articles I read, it used this analogy of the Tower of Babel, suggesting that the challenges of communication and cooperation, they might actually prevent us from achieving true unity.
So even with an extraterrestrial threat or even an opportunity, human nature, it could still be our biggest obstacle.
It's definitely possible. And it shows how important it is to start thinking about these questions now, before we're actually faced with an alien encounter.
It's like a cosmic wake-up call.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Urging us to address our own divisions, to find ways to work together for the good of everyone.
Exactly. And it's not just about preparing for this specific event. It's about developing those qualities of adaptability,
Yeah.
resilience, cooperation, qualities that are going to be essential in the 21st century, no matter what, aliens or not.
That's a really powerful message. But let's be real. A full-blown alien invasion, it probably seems like a pretty distant possibility to most people.
True, but that doesn't mean we can't learn valuable lessons from thinking about these scenarios.
So what are some practical takeaways, things that our listeners can apply to their own lives, even if they never see a flying saucer?
Well, the sources really emphasize the importance of personal preparedness, having an emergency plan, a well-stocked kit, knowing basic survival skills. These are all things that can make a real difference in any crisis, natural disasters, economic downturns, you name it.
Yeah, those are great practical tips. But what about the mental and emotional side of things? How can people build resilience? How can they cope with the uncertainty of a world that's constantly changing?
That's a crucial aspect of preparedness
Yeah.
that often gets overlooked. The articles talk about how important it is to cultivate a positive outlook, a sense of purpose, a belief in our ability to overcome adversity.
So it's about fostering that inner strength that helps us adapt, to innovate, to support each other when things get tough.
Exactly. And it's not just about surviving, it's about thriving. It's about using these challenges as opportunities for growth, for learning, for connection. Because ultimately it's our human spirit, our capacity for compassion, for creativity, for collaboration. That's what's going to determine our success, whether we're facing an alien invasion or just navigating the complexities of modern life.
Well said. And I think that's a great place to pause for now. But stay tuned, because in the final part of our deep dive, we're gonna go even deeper into the psychological and philosophical implications of an alien encounter, exploring what it really means to be human in a universe that's full of possibilities.
Welcome back to our deep dive into alien invasions. So
Yeah.
we've covered a lot, right? From global politics and societies collapsing to scientific breakthroughs and maybe even cooperating with aliens. But now we're going to get into some even more thought-provoking territory. Yeah. It's time to explore the psychology and the philosophy of meeting aliens. How would that kind of event, how would it change how we understand ourselves, our place in the universe, the meaning of being human.
It gets to the core of what it means to be human, right? We've spent centuries building our civilizations, our philosophies, our beliefs, all based on the idea that we're the only intelligent beings on this planet, maybe even in the whole universe.
And then boom, that whole idea is shattered. The articles, they highlight how psychologically messed up we could be if that happened. Just imagine the dread, the feeling of being totally insignificant, the fear of the unknown.
To be like a massive identity crisis for all of humanity. Everything we thought we knew about ourselves, about our place in the cosmos, suddenly it's all questioned. But some sources also say it could be a spiritual awakening, like a sense of awe and wonder at how vast and diverse the universe really is.
It's strange, isn't it? A paradox. Part of us might feel smaller, maybe even threatened by knowing we're not alone. But it could also be incredibly humbling, inspiring. It could broaden our horizons, connect us to something so much bigger than ourselves.
It's like that Carl Sagan quote, right? The cosmos is within us. We are made of star stuff. We're a way for the universe to know itself. Meeting aliens, it could bring that idea to life in a really, really powerful way.
Right. It could force us to face our own biases, that human-centered way of thinking, to recognize that our human perspective, it's just one tiny, tiny part of a much bigger cosmic reality. And that change, that shift in perspective, it could have a huge impact on all of human thought and culture.
I'm thinking about religion, for example. How would different faiths, how would they handle the existence of alien life? Would it strengthen faith,
Yeah.
or would it lead to doubt and people losing their beliefs?
That's something theologians would be debating for generations. And it's not just religion. Think about the impact on philosophy, ethics, art.
Imagine the philosophical debates, the ethical dilemmas, the art that would come out of it. It could be a rebirth of human thought, of creativity, driven by this need to understand this new reality.
And it might even make us rethink our values when we're faced with a civilization that could be so much more advanced, or maybe their values are totally different from ours, their priorities. We might have to ask ourselves some really tough questions about how we live, how we do things.
What if their society is based on cooperation instead of competition? Or what if they understand ideas like individuality or community in totally different ways? It would challenge us to rethink our own societies, maybe even learn from them. Yeah.
It's a humbling thought, but it's also exciting. It suggests that meeting aliens could be this catalyst for positive change. It could push us to evolve as a species, to create a world that's more just, more sustainable, more enlightened. But all of that depends on us being able to handle that initial encounter peacefully.
To establish some kind of communication, right? Some way to understand each other.
Right. We can't ignore the practical stuff. Like if aliens contacted us, how would we even talk to them? What if their language, their way of thinking, how they perceive the world, what if it's so different from ours that we can't even find any common ground?
That's where linguistics, anthropology, even cognitive science, they'd all come in. The articles they mentioned developing new forms of communication, maybe using math, music, even abstract visual representations to try to bridge the gap between our cultures. It would take a level of creativity and open-mindedness that we haven't really seen before in human history. We'd have to step outside of our own cultural boxes and try to understand the alien perspective on their terms.
And that's not easy. It challenges our assumptions about language and thought. It makes us think about the possibility that our way of seeing and interacting with the world, maybe it's not the only way,
It's a really mind-bending idea, but it also shows how important it is to approach this hypothetical encounter with humility and a willingness to learn. If we think our way is the only way, well, we're setting ourselves up to fail.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it brings us back to global unity. Would humanity, would we be able to put aside our differences and be united when facing aliens?
Yeah. That's the big question, isn't it? I mean, history shows us how easily we divide ourselves, right? Ideology, religion. nationality. It's hard to imagine those divisions just vanishing, even if we're facing something from another planet, whether it's a threat or an opportunity.
It would be the ultimate test of human cooperation. But the sources, they do offer a little bit of hope. They
Yeah.
suggest that meeting aliens, it could actually be a catalyst for a new kind of global governance,
Mm.
one that's based on shared values, mutual understanding,
Mm.
recognizing that we're all connected as a species.
That's a hopeful vision, but it would take a fundamental shift in how we think. We'd have to go beyond nationalism, self-interest, and embrace a more holistic view, a planet-wide perspective.
And that's a challenge that goes beyond just alien invasions. It's
Yeah.
it's a challenge we face every day in our relationships with each other, with our environment, with the future of our planet.
So even if we never meet ET, thinking about how we'd respond to aliens, it can actually teach us a lot about ourselves, about the challenges we face as a global society.
It's a thought experiment, and it forces us to look at our strengths, our weaknesses, our hopes, our fears, and ultimately our potential as a species. It reminds us that we're capable of great things and terrible things, and that the choices we make, they shape the future of humanity
Mhm.
for generations to come.
Well, I think that's a powerful way to wrap things up. This deep dive into alien invasions. It's been a wild ride,
Yeah.
taking us from existential dread to cosmic wonder.
And it's definitely given us a lot to think about. The possibility of life out there,
Mm.
the challenges of talking to aliens, of working with them, the potential for conflict and for collaboration. It's a topic that's going to keep fascinating us, keep challenging us for as long as we look up at the stars and wonder what's out there.
And who knows, maybe one day those stars will answer back. Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, keep that sense of wonder alive. This is the deep dive signing off.